Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Embrace the Chase, where over the next year we are interviewing 100 entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers, picking their brains and learning more about their story, what's made them successful, and kind of learn about their current projects and see if there's anything we can take from it and continue to grow ourselves. And today we have on Mike Arce, who I am super pumped to have on. He's an incredible entrepreneur. He's a speaker, a coach, an advertising professional who owns a 7-figure, and I'm sure it's probably very close to 8 figures, if not past that, advertising agency for fitness studios and independent gyms. And he's also the host of his own podcast series, The GSD Show. So really excited to have him on. Thanks for being on, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. So let's just kind of dive right into everything. I'd like to start at the very beginning if we could, and just learn more about your story for a lot of people that do not know anything about Loud Rumor and your story yourself. Kind of, have you always been an entrepreneur, or did you something just kind of happened and you ended up starting Loud Rumor?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I don't have that cool story that everyone has where they were like making a lot of money on the side in like third grade or whatever. But what I will tell you though, just to kind of add to it, earlier you said host of a GSD show podcast. So that actually has come to an end. And the reason I bring that up though is because one of the biggest platforms out there in our industry, MindBody, they basically have brought me on to be the host of their podcast, which is the same content. So the cool thing about podcasts, like what you're doing, and what I think everyone should do, I believe in it so much. I've actually created stuff around it, but it's given me opportunities and really a voice. And now, being able to do what I was already doing in front of my audience, but now doing it in front of an audience that's like 67,000 customers that I want, that's really great too. So I definitely recommend podcasts. I think you're doing a great job by having one as well. So, okay, how did I get into it? I had 22 jobs before I started Loud Rumor. I did have my own business once before, and I failed at it. We were doing okay. It was a personal training company. I had 3 trainers working underneath me. We grew it to about like 50K a month or something like that in recurring revenue, and just made business mistakes. And we ended up selling it, going on, got more of those 22 jobs. And then, I started Loud Rumor out of necessity. The economy was bad. Nobody was hiring. Stuff went on. And so I decided this, can't get a job, so I'll just create a job. And that's kind of how it started.
So was Loud Rumor created around like 2008, 2009-ish?
We created it in 2009 when we were not having money problems. And so you ever read the book Good to Great?
Yes.
So good to great, they say good is the enemy of great, because if you're good, well, then there's actually something to lose. So you don't work like you do when you're broke. And then Damon John wrote a great book called Power of Broke. So I had Loud Rumor in 2009, November 2009, and all the way up until October 2010, so almost a whole year, I did almost nothing with it. I mean, I got a couple of clients here and there, but I worked so differently because I had a job and my wife had a job, and those things were paying the bills plus putting 1,500 in savings every month. Once that changed with the economy going, the way it did, my wife lost her job and my pay got cut in half. We were losing 1,500 a month now with only 500 in savings because we paid off our wedding. I had to work. And so then I went and started putting in 16-hour days, 18-hour days, not because, I wanted to post on Facebook that I was doing it. No one was even doing that back then. I was doing it because I needed to pay for stuff. So that's kind of how it ultimately started. But that's just a great example of how, let's say you're wanting to start a business and you have a job on the side. That's just a great example of how your odds of being successful in that business go dramatically down, because I had both of those worlds with the same company. And that's why Shark Tank, people, those guys, they don't want to invest in people that have full-time jobs while they're doing their business. They want people that are fully committed and have a lot to lose.
I like it. So then when you first started Loud Rumor, how exactly were you acquiring clients? Because obviously you were home by yourself, running it out of your home. So what was the progression from you there to where you are now, a massive team?
Yeah, we were cold calling a lot. because we didn't have any content. We didn't have any money to market the content if we did. So we were cold calling a lot. On average, my wife was making 230 cold calls a day. I was making around 40 to 50. Seems like she's outworking me, but in reality, she had no sales experience. So hers weren't quality. She was getting hung up on a lot more often than I was. And I was able to have, 15, 20-minute conversations, whereas she was getting hung up on in the middle of her first sentence. But between the both of us, we were cold calling a lot. And we didn't go about getting clients the way I would if I were in business, like starting over today with the same amount of money, which was none. I just didn't know. I learned a lot about what I needed to do as I went.
Okay. So then as Loud Rumor has grown, is that kind of when you started doing your coaching, or have you always been doing like a coaching business?
The coaching was organic. I never started promoting it. It was more of like this one guy. He was in a group of mine. He wanted to learn what I was doing. And so I was just helping him. And then he told like 3 guys how I helped him. And so then I couldn't do all that for free. So I decided to charge, and I was charging really low. It was like $250 an hour or something like that. And, then from there, I realized that there was a lot of opportunity in coaching. And I realized that when I wanted to have better coaches, and they were charging me 10 grand for a day. I'm about to go meet with Gary Vee. It's 20 grand for 2 hours, And so you start looking at that and you're like, 250 an hour, what am I doing? Now those guys are crazy, right? They're on a whole nother level, but my fee didn't go up for a while. So I eventually raised it as I realized that I was getting raised by the money I was paying for coaching.
That makes a ton of sense. I like that. So you just mentioned Gary Vee. So I kind of wanted to do a side topic on mentorship. Who have been some of your biggest mentors pre Loud Rumor being as big as it is? And obviously, if you want to share, you don't have to, but who are some of the biggest influences in your life now, like Gary Vee?
Well, Gary Vee is an influencer for me in the one respect that the guy just understands consumer behavior. He really understands marketing. That's why he can go from email lists to YouTube ads to Snapchat to whatever else comes next, and he knows how to leverage it. Because unlike the average person that sees it come out and they go, great, another new thing I have to learn, he looks at it and goes, man, another tool I can add, right? So just he understands things in marketing very well. So that's really what I get out of him. But Billy Jean is another guy for Facebook ads and video content. I really like what Grant Cardone does in respect to finding a niche, which he did with sales training. He wrote a lot of books on sales training. He has a lot of programs and products and conferences and boot camps on sales training. So those guys. But then personally, I've had mentors who the audience may not know of, like Dave Berg, really took me under his wing. This guy, Bart Dunn, former CFO of Cold Stone, really took me under their wing. And a lot of friends that are either parallel to me in like success, or some of them even below when you consider like finance success, but they know this thing so much better than I do, or they work with people so much better than I do, or they're so much more organized than I am. So I'll go to mentors. They don't have to be financially, better than me, depending on what I'm going to them for,
I like that a lot. Good stuff. So as far as like a brand new business owner, even somebody who's seasoned, what kind of advice would you have for somebody who is running a digital marketing agency or getting ready to start one?
Well, two different things. So if you're running an agency and you're looking to start one, 2 different things. If you're looking to start one, first thing is you got to learn exactly how to create a great product and service, because there's a lot of churn in agency world where you may get 10 clients, but then you lose 9. And so that's not a good way to grow a business. And you're going to do a lot better if you can hang on to your clients. And that happens when you provide really great results. So if that's what you're choosing, don't choose it because it seems like it's cool, because, Ty Lopez and, Dan Henry and all these guys are like flashing their really great stuff. Not to say that that's wrong. I mean, obviously that's how they got it, but don't do it for that reason. Do it because you actually really love learning. I like learning about all the new things I can do with Facebook ads and learning all the little things that you can do. So number one, make sure that's there. But then if you're looking to grow, like let's say you're already running one, then at that point you just got to invest in coaching. Because you take a guy like Gary Vee, it's 2 hours for 20 grand, it's 20 grand. But I mean, what if I learn something that allows me to get 10 more clients and that pay me 10 grand a month? What if I learned something from, like, I joined Russell Brunson's Inner Circle? That's 25 grand. But what if I learned something in there, like which I did, how to run a webinar? I spent just on a test, a small sample test with what they showed me. I spent $1,500 and I made like 20 something grand off of it. And I didn't really do anything other than show what I've already been showing people anyway. So, and now I know I could do that over and over and over and over and over. So I invest a lot of money in coaching. I invest quite a bit, actually. But I've never been proven that it wasn't worth it. But you should always aim to be the best student. That's something you should do. I'm very competitive. So I tell every coach I'm about to start working with that I'm going to be their best student. And I don't just say that. I remind them over and over by doing things that prove it.
I love it. Have you ever heard of the Thrive Conference, Cole Hatter?
Yeah, I've been there the last 2 times.
Oh, you were gosh, man, I wish I would have connected with you in person. I would love to hear you speak there.
I would love to speak there. I love speaking, but yeah, I got to go there and I got to go to the cocktail hours. So I was in the room with those guys, and it was a pretty crazy room when you have all those speakers all in there, and the room's the size of my kitchen, and they're all just kind of chatting. So it was a good experience, and it was a good conference.
Yes, it was. It was wild. So then what kind of current projects are you working on right now that you're allowed to share with us?
Right now, because we're coming into we're in the fourth quarter now, 2 months left in the fourth quarter. So all I really want to do is make sure that we finish 2 objectives. And number 1 is make sure that the agency has all the people and resources that it needs to hit the ground running in 2018. And then the second thing, we're putting out a lot of content. We're not running ads yet. We're really building up brand awareness to the fact that we do know what we're doing, and not just creating ads, but also building and scaling up an agency that's profitable and doesn't need me to micromanage and manage the whole thing. So I'm building up content to help people, show them how to do it for free. And while we're doing that, we're obviously, all the things that we bring people to, landing pages, blogs, videos, stuff like that, there's retargeting on it. And so in January, we're going to be able to start running ads to webinars for the people that have shown interest.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you're always learning, always trying to become the best student. A lot of people like to ask the question, success tips or success habits, but I want to simplify that. Do you have like a specific daily routine that you do?
Yeah, I mean, I fall off of it often, not a lot. When I say often, I mean it's often for me because I'm a stickler with it. So I'm actually pretty consistent with it in general. But yeah, I wake up at 6 on the dot every morning. I'm not a 4 a.m.er like I know a lot of people like to talk about, but I wake up at 4. I don't do that. I wake up at 6. I have 4 kids. So by the time I tuck them in, spend time with them, spend time with my wife, I don't get to bed till like 11 o'clock. So I wake up at 6. I have this like power drink that has a bunch of stuff in it. And then I make myself a bulletproof coffee. I take my pre-workout. Then I go to the gym. I work out from like 6:45 or 7 till about 8. And then from there, I come home. I do my meditation before I go to the gym. I come home, and then I basically shower, and I start preparing for my day. So I look at everything I have lined up for the day already, what I have to do. And then I start work typically around like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And then that's pretty much it. Everything I do, I ask so get shit done, GSD, that's like the phrase. I wear this shirt for me. I don't wear it for everyone else. This is for me. So I learned that because I have the tattoo here that says perseverance. And you can't be the guy that works the night shift at 7-Eleven with a perseverance tattoo. You can't be 45 years old working the cash register at, like, people are going to be like, dude, that wouldn't make sense, So this has always held me accountable to persevere, which I've had to do quite a bit. But now this is for getting shit done. Like, you can't walk around with a get shit done shirt and not do shit. So I got this for me, and there's a book called The One Thing That when you ask me about routine, I ask myself this phrase every single time I have to, like, I finish a task and now I got to decide what I'm going to do next. And that's, what's the one thing I could do right now such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. Basically, if the building's going to burn, you can only do one thing left that's on your list. What would you pick? And so I do that because a lot of times people, they'll just kind of start tackling down the things that are easiest or right in front of them, or because they have the to-do list like this, and do the little 1 minute, 2 minute ones because it makes them feel better knowing they only have a few left. But these things are monsters. So my get shit done is always like, what's the one thing I can do right now? Such that by doing it, everything else would become easier and necessary, and I tackle my list that way. So I ask myself that all day, every day.
I like that. Phenomenal book. And it's really cool to hear that you're implementing that. So I have one last question for you, and then we'll wrap up today's show. And that's same question I ask everybody. And that's, what's on your heart or what's on your mind right now that you either want people to know about you or just some type of message that you want people to know in general?
This is going to sound like cheesy and cliche, and people are going to think it's like a marketing thing that I'm saying it this way. But the truth is, I want to help people that were me 3, 4 years ago, because I know how I felt and it was tough. I want to help people that are me 3, 4 years ago find a way to get to where I'm at today. You know, I had to piece a lot of those things. I didn't have one coach that showed me the way. I had to piece a lot of what I learned to get here from different coaches. And, you know, I'm fortunate that the pieces fell in my favor, that those were all the pieces I actually needed to learn to get to. And when I say get here, I know that I still have so much more to go. I know there's still people that are so much more successful than me. But if you would have told me 4 years ago that where I'm at today is 3 times more than my goal was set at, you know, like I'm 3 times better than what I could have ever asked for. And so that being said, if I can help people, if I can go back, it almost be like going back and helping me in the past, like going back in time. So, and that's how it's felt with the people I've already helped. So I'd love to be able to go back in time in a way and help people that are where I'm at, and just kind of give them the stuff to focus on. And that's cool. And obviously I'm going to be making money off of it. I get it. So did my coaches. And so will these guys one day when they start returning the favor. So.
I love it. Thanks so much for being on, Mike. Guys, down below, I'm going to have linked his website as well as all his social media. Please follow him and check out all of his stuff. Don't hesitate to reach out to his coaching platform as well. Definitely worth the money. Really appreciate having you on, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
See ya.